I never wanted to be a part of a crowd, so I decided to make slasher films because they're what inspired me when I was a child. I contacted my friend and I got someone else to hold the camera for most of the shots. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's amazing." I don't think any of them really thought that I was going to make a career out of it. My name is Oakley Fugate. I consider myself Wattsburg's unofficial tour guide. I'm a photographer, and my main passion is making movies.
This is my original childhood home. My mom and dad moved in here. This was my dad's childhood home. This is where his family lives. My grandma lives right down there. This was his childhood home, and then I believe they sold it or something. And then when mom and dad got together, mom sold her trailer and they bought this place. And so I was here from when I was, from up until I was about 3, and then mom and dad split, and I spent from 3 to 5 just kind of moving around. Like every, there's like, I could technically show you about 4 or 5 different childhood homes if you would want to call them that, but for me, what defines a childhood home is if I have memories there. Like the one, like here, like I actually have like a very faint memory of like, before they split. And at Hazard is where I got a lot of like anytime I think of me, I go, like as a young boy, that's what I picture. And then this is my first video camera. You can see the tiny lens in there. You would just hold it and hit record, and it could record 15 seconds video.
He was pretty young, maybe 12 or 13, and I forget if he bought it or somebody bought him one of them like a little throwaway cameras, and after that it was over. He'd get a good camera, he'd want the next one up, the next one up. It just kept getting better, and then he started making films and buying better cameras. Well, I told him a couple times I didn't see no future, anyway he'd ever be able to make a living doing what he's doing, and time after time he's just proved the way I thought wrong. But I'm very glad he didn't grow up to be a miner or something like that, and that he's doing something he loves. I always had to do things that I didn't love to make it, and I just didn't want him to have that kind of life that I did. Not working on the mines, strip mines, or none of it. I couldn't think of nothing else around here that I'd rather for him to do once he showed me that he was going to make it regardless, or give it his best shot. He never did go down the wrong path. He's followed his dreams, and I'm so proud of him over that.
I'd say the single best thing that happened in my life is AMI, the Appalachian Media Institute. It's a program started by Apple Shop to help combat the stereotypes and exploitation of the mainstream media by teaching local youth to produce their own films.
I wish I could buy him everything that he wanted, that he needs, but I reckon once he got up the Apple Shop, they had faster computers, nicer cameras, and everything in the world. I remember he told him up there one day, the only thing he had to do was eat and pay rent. Said other than that, he'd work for him for free. He enjoys his work that much. He ain't really worried about the money part of it, and that's amazing. Most people ain't that way. They won't do nothing for you unless you pay them. And I was proud of him. Well, just about everything he does, I approve of. I've not seen him make very many mistakes. If he's ever made any that I know of, just real good.
If I had the chance, I would like to go to New York and shoot a film, but really just for the experience, But I feel my passion, or when I'm at my best, is when I'm closer to home, and I'm able, because I don't think I could make my films long term anywhere else. Because this community, they know me. This is a place a lot of people don't like seeing camera crews walk up and down the road. It's really, really rare. People are more secluded here. They like anytime they see somebody get out of their car and especially with a heavy set tripod or a camera, they'll keep a real close eye to see what you're doing, and it's just more trust. It's going from what's that person doing with this camera, why are they filming, why are they choosing here, to oh, that's just Oakley running up and down the holler. What I'm most famous for is I guess I got a small cult following, as you call it. I make slasher films in my spare time. It was in 2007 I saw a behind the scenes of Rob Zombie's Halloween, and it was just him talking about how they made like a prop knife so it could look like you could stab somebody without actually having to stab them. And I was like, I think I can do that. I can break a knife in half and attach 2 magnets to it. So, which, by the way, that's a very bad safety tip, so don't actually try that. But, so over the years, I've just kept doing that.
My phone isn't working. The first time I died in one of Oakley's movies, he stabbed me to death in the cemetery next to the casa where the AMI kids stay. And actually, in that scene, if you watch it, you can hear me being whimpering and stuff. And those sounds are actually real, because when Oakley was over me, pretending that he was stabbing me, he was using a real bladed knife, and I was afraid that he would slip and stab me. But the scenes where he would actually be impaling me would be it closed, but it would be open for the shot of him doing this, and he would get very close, and it was really scary. So those sounds are actually real terror. There are other filmmakers and there are other people that have, dedicated their life to this and built their life from this, but I don't think anybody does it exactly the way Oakley does it and have really put their whole soul into it the way that Oakley has.
Yeah, I could say usually the bloodier the funnier, because it's because how much fun people have behind the scenes, and then when they watch the finished version, they're like, oh my God, you took us laughing and joking around for 2 hours and made it into a serious scene. And it's always fun, to get one of the prop knives, and stab somebody. Everybody who works with coworkers, gets a bit of pin-up rage. So it's always nice just to get a prop knife, and after that you're just like, that felt good, and then you just go back to work. It sounds incredibly more morbid, but it's just like a constant blast, to be covering somebody in stage blood, or and then having scenes with them shout, shout stuff that they usually wouldn't say. My friend Dustin Hall, he's one of the nicest people you ever meet. And in my latest film, he plays one of the this scumbag movie producer, which I feel he was born to play that role.
Well, why did you do it? Are you obsessed with The Killer or Rambo 2?
Actually, sir, I just like making movies.
Well, at least that makes 3 of us. I think we met in 2011, which is now 6 years ago, which doesn't make any sense because we're coming up on 12 years, not 12 years, we're coming up on 7 years, which is coming up on 10 years. Which is shocking, it's jarring. I didn't want to have a 10-year friendship with anybody. I didn't think it was going to happen, but now that it's here, I'm loving it. Obviously. And over the course of that time, I guess that Oakley and I had a budding friendship that has now lasted for eons and centuries. So we met at AMI and bonded over Elvira, films, and all these great things that we love so much and so dearly. It was great.
I made a film last year called Not a Daughter, which, was kind of a solo AMI project, which I think that's the first time, one person's been chosen to do a documentary. And it's actually kind of based, my friend Dustin has been interviewed in several LGBT stories, I think someone from, I believe it's from Al Jazeera, it was someone real famous, called him Whitesburg's local gay boy. And, so I wanted to talk with him about it, and he's like, you want to know a fun fact? And I was like, sure. And he's like, I just like every single film I'm in because they don't tell the story I'm trying to tell them. And I'm just like, well, then why don't I just set up a camera in front of you, and, I'm not going to ask any questions, and I want you to tell me what you've been wanting to say. So, Dustin and I got really busy during the summer, and we actually didn't do an interview with him, but I did find another member of the LGBT community, Oliver Baker, and I was able to capture his really his such a heartwarming and tragic tale that had a real bittersweet ending to it, and so that was good. And then anytime, the past few years, I've taken a toll on me emotionally at times, so whenever it would just get too much, I would just go grab my camera and film. So I had 2 years worth of just footage of nature, and I was able to combine the two.
Sticking plasters for your broken bones, defend off sticks and stones. Now you have our stolen goods and sleeping pills. God gave you all the bluster, but no people skills, and too much time to kill. I'm not here to plead forgiveness for the
you know, and that, as crazy as that sounds, like everyone, people really loved it. You know, like all of a sudden people was like, "Hey, would you mind flying to Denver, Colorado to show 2 minutes of your film and talk about it?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I applied for this grant. I think like over 1,000 people have applied for it, and then it got to where I was in the second round, which is like, I mean well, at least I can say I made it to the second round. And, you know, I just kept waiting to get a letter like, you know, "Oh, thank you for applying. Sadly, you know, we had to go with somebody else, or we wish we could pick you." And next thing I know, I'm doing an interview, and then 3 weeks later, like, I actually got it. And like, it was just like 30 minutes of just like, no, that didn't just happen. Like, any minute now, I'm just going to wake up in my bed and come over here and we'll read my email saying I didn't get it. And well, it's been 3 or 4 weeks now, and I still haven't woken up. So either I'm in either this is real or an elaborate dream.